Everyone, welcome to I'm Hired. It's a job hunter's guide, and our first kind of episode is looking at the ideal CV profile. So, what are we doing here? Basically, in the last couple of years, I've had lots of companies, consultancies, or recruitment agencies looking for good candidates, primarily because of my contact base, my network, and the numerous WhatsApp groups I manage. So on the flip side, a lot of people do contact me, in terms of if there's roles out there, and I do really help them in terms of their CVs, the interviews, the soft skills, all that stuff. So in that sense, I enjoy this. I help enjoying getting people recruited, but also companies finding the right candidates. So essentially, this kind of thing we're doing is a series of podcasts that will help people in that process, whether it's the profile, the CV, experiences, the skills, the soft skills, and also another intriguing element, how to find the jobs. Think like what I've done is networking, and that's helped me a lot. And today we've got John Thistlethwaite, who's going to help me in this series. And me and John have a great relationship. Actually, he helped me and he placed me in a company successfully. So in that sense, you're seeing two sides of the coin, really. A person who is in the recruitment business, but also myself who helps to source people. But also I've also recruited myself. So in that sense, hopefully this will be beneficial to you all. So without further ado, John, introduce yourself.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, so I'm John Thistlethwaite. As Tim said, we sort of I guess came to know each other through a recruitment process. My background is 13 years within recruitment, so I've recruited across the globe really. To start with in oil and gas and renewables. I've done some recruitment across IT, but more recently, 4 or 5 years in financial accountancy at the sort of kind of qualified level. Your first time moves from practice right up to sort of CFO level really. I am just kind of keen to give a bit of an insight into obviously the actual interview process, CVs, and help people in whatever we can do really.
Fantastic. That's really good. So without further ado, let's go into some of these questions which I have, and maybe you can answer them, and I'm more than happy to pitch in too. So the first question really is, what defines a good CV profile, and why is it a crucial component of a CV?
So a CV profile is very much at the top of your CV. So it's the first thing that a recruiter goes to. I mean, I was actually on a course recently where they said, a CV is viewed within 5 to 7 seconds. So the profile is something that really needs to grab the reader and basically take them on the journey and want them to know more. So from that perspective, it's a personal statement. It's a bit of a personal summary. But like I say, you really need to grab someone. So your CV is a sales document, and this piece has to sell you to enable people to kind of go further through. So it needs to be concise. It needs to be punchy, attention grabbing. Spending time on this section and getting it right is really, really important in today's kind of field, especially when recruiters and HR managers or line managers are getting hundreds, if not thousands, depending on the role themselves, of applicants over a weekend. You need to make sure you're standing out.
Completely, and I like to add to that in the sense that that's what I've been helping with in terms of getting the profile right, in terms of meeting the job characteristics, but also the length. Sometimes it could be too big or too short, whatever. What is the ideal length for you? What do you think would be the ideal profile length?
I think a profile length for me is probably a paragraph, maybe 2 short paragraphs, because any longer than that, and it either becomes a bit of a thesis, or in many ways you're replacing your covering letter and putting it into your CV. So it needs to be short and snappy. So if you have written something that's quite long, try and cut it down, but make sure you've still got the core elements in there. And whether that be the skill sets that are relatable to the business, the specific industries, a bit about you as an individual, so your sort of kind of personality really, but I guess the character traits that business is looking for. So it does need to be of a length, but probably a paragraph or maybe 2 short paragraphs, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I can add to that in the sense, I look at it as a newspaper advert. It draws someone into your CV. And in that sense, it has to be punchy, but truthful also, truthful and also because of the fact that people want to be intrigued or interested in the rest of the CV, it has to be kind of an executive summary, but also not too long, as you said, and of course catchy.
Absolutely, and I think as well, if you aren't able to get certain points in there, because it almost stops the flow of what you've written, a couple of bullet points underneath the summary, there's no harm in that. I think there's just to add those little bit extras that you still want to get across, but you don't want to almost kind of elongate the process.
Yeah, I mean, I have a methodology that I've used before. It kind of works. I get the job itself, actually copy and paste it into the profile, what I'm going to do. But of course, truthful, I move my kind of things that I believe I'm beneficial to that job. So it gives that kind of reader who's going to do it or look through the process, just see, look, okay, there are bits in this job that this person can do. But they can't go through a 5-length CV to just find it, what you've been doing. So in that sense, that's a good idea, I would say. Can you point out some errors of profiles that could, that you've seen?
Yeah, definitely. I think probably the fact that people do make it too long. The length, people stop reading. They're looking for those key words. So length is always kind of one of the issues we have. The other is grammatical errors. You don't want the first thing that someone sees is a big grammatical error or a spelling mistake. Nowadays with Word and everything, other kind of tools that are available, you can eradicate that. So that should no longer be part of your profile. So making errors like that is always one thing. And I guess not engaging with your audience is the critical error, really. And I think that often comes where people are almost going through a scattergun approach of applying. So they're just the one-click apply on LinkedIn nowadays. Yes, it's great for speed and people who I guess want to get as many out there as possible, but actually it's almost detrimental to them because they get lost in the system, they don't get read. So make sure that you tailor things, do it properly, and you'll be so much more successful.
Okay, that's completely right. So should people put in their profile skills they have, value added stuff they can bring, benefits, but also achievements and some experience? Should they put that in the profile or just keywords?
No, absolutely put the experience and you kind of necessarily what they've done that's relatable to that role. So for example, if you were, I don't know, obviously because of the field I'm in, if you're a finance director, you might be a highly motivated, results orientated finance director with extensive experience in strategic, operational and change management across finance, but also the wider business. But then giving experience, so experience in X, Y, and Z industries, because it's often quite important depending on the industry that they're looking for. So put those in there. That you've increased the bottom line by X percentage. You might have led a business through a restructure, M&A, and maybe even a sale, either buy or sell side. So you can have private equity or VC-backed businesses. And the fact that you are, great at building and maintaining relationships, both internally and externally, and deliver, in order to deliver strategic objectives for the business. So I think it's key that you do put those things in, and I think if you're an FD, that probably would be the sort of thing that you would put in there. So it's reasonably short and snappy, so it's probably no more than, I'd say, 3 lines. But it's catching the imagination of the individual to then read further on into the actual kind of crux of your roles that you've delivered.
Fantastic. And should when I was looking for jobs, and this was whatever part of my career was, I had templates of profiles. So like, not that, it was really good. I saved them up, in my drive. Number one is like project manager or something like that. But I referred back to them. It's not that I've, fudged the truth or something like that, but it just helps me to kind of have a certain template of a profile, and then share it. I even share it out with people because they say, what type of profile should we do. So do you have any kind of examples of good profiles, that you can share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. We always work with people to say, look, this is what a profile should look like, and almost kind of give a skeletal overview of what a good profile for that sort of role looks like, whether it be kind of an analyst or a financial accountant, a technical role. For example, for yours, if you were obviously implementing kind of a new finance system, they'd all look different to an extent, but I guess the core skeletal elements are all still there. That never changes.
Yeah, fantastic. So in essence, thank you for sharing with all these details in terms of the right profile. Is there anything else you'd like to add in terms of in this podcast?
I think the only other thing I'd mention is we are obviously kind of financial kind of services recruiters. We are looking for people at the moment with a profile of kind of top four, kind of qualified ACA, been through your kind of financial account, finance manager, strong in your sort of kind of core accounting areas, very much within manufacturing, but someone who's, I guess, quite a strong leader. He's going to help build a business, develop a team. So you're kind of quite commercially focused at the same time as being very technically strong. So anyone of that sort of profile, please update your CV and get in touch, really.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to add to that I'm happy to help out there people if they really want some help with their profiles, with their CVs, or mentoring. And I'm sure John will help me with that too. So we're here not just as this podcast, it's a two-way thing. These podcasts will evolve with time. We're going to go do different parts of the CV, interview process, soft skills, things like that. And of course, we need feedback. What things would you guys like? And what kind of jobs are you looking for? So touch base with us soon. And thank you, John, for everything. And see you and talk to you very soon.
Perfect. Thanks, Tim. Speak soon.
Thank you.